Okay, alright. Hello. Today another video on constructor. My idea for today is to talk about custom timers. I've been using a small little technique about timers. I'm going to show you today. Using dictionary objects and functions. I like functions, love them. And dictionary. We'll use the dictionary. We'll call it timer. It will be what will hold all our timers. We'll have named timers. The idea here is to be able to at any time create a timer, a named timer, like if you want to move an object or to do something during a certain amount of time, sequential stuff, or that kind of thing. What I will demonstrate here is also something you could have as a plugin. It wouldn't be really hard to make, and maybe I didn't even check, but maybe there's already a time plugin for that. The idea behind showing this to you is also to show you how you can use function and dictionaries, a way to use them that show how you can abstract something away. The system I will create, you'll be able to use it without worrying about how it's implemented. That's the beauty of it. That's also the interest of plugins usually. But you sometimes, if you want to publish your game on the C2 arcade, you can't always you can't use custom plugins unless that changed, but I don't think so. And sometimes you just don't have the plugin you want, or you can't customize as you want. So functions usually helps to allow you to add functionalities you don't have. So here the functionality I will add is timer. So what's a timer? It's something that counts times, and actually the timer I will set will come down. So you won't have to check each time if a timer is equal to a value. Is it finished? The comparison here will be to 0. If the timer is equal to 0, the time has run out. Actually, now that I think about it, we could do it the other way. We'll see how we implement it. So I will start right away. As always, my tutorial aren't really for beginners, so I will go kind of fast for a beginner. If you have, even if you are a beginner, if you have any question, feel free to ask them on the forum, or if you catch me on the Twitch chat, you can also ask questions. Resize so I can be sure I don't go underneath the chat. Alright, so first I will lay out what I want to be able to do with my timer. I want to be able to create a timer. I want to be able to stop a timer. Stop? I never did that, but it can be cool. Stop a timer, why not? restart a timer. What could we do? Destroy a timer. Destroy timer. You want to be able to create, destroy, ask if the timer exists. Is timer exist? Does exist? Does the timer exist? What else? Obviously, you want to be able to query the timer to ask some stuff, some properties about the timer, like the current time of the timer, maybe the initial time. So it will be something like get current time, get initial time. What else? Restart. A change time could be something like create a timer with the same name. You will overwrite. We'll see. So all these functionalities will be, of course, functions. So I create a function called create timer. This function will need a name and a duration. Alright, so we have our create timer, that's done. Stop timer, pause timer maybe isn't a better way to put it. What's the difference usually between pause and the stop? Stop usually reset the timer at the same time. We'll see. It's trivial to do, so pause timer. We'll have restart. So it's restart from current time. If we do a pause, resume, better name, I think. So here, pause timer will ask for a name of the timer to pause, and resume timer, name as well. If we can pause and resume, we want to be also able to ask if timer is running. Is timer running? Alright, I will create this. Is running. We don't need a is in pause because it's the opposite of is running, so it's okay. We already have the information from this one. What else? Destroy. I will create the destroy timer. Destroy timer. You can notice that I very often start from laying out what the tool I need. It's a way of splitting the problem into pieces. Now I'd be able to worry here about how to create a timer, how to etc., how to destroy, how to pause. If you start from scratch and tell yourself, okay, I need to make a timer, how do I start? I want to do that at the same time. No, you split the problem into pieces and you resolve each piece one piece at a time. So get current time, and here, since I already did made such a system, I already have in mind many functions, but often I don't really know. Usually I will start with create, destroy, get current, get initial, because I know I will need this information. But when I created the first time, I created this kind of system, I didn't even think about these ones. but they will come in. You can have the you'll see how I will implement this system. You don't really need this function to exist to have the functionality, you'll see, but having a function that kind of wrap all the system, kind of protect it. You can access the mechanism without using these functions, but it would be kind of you could change some things that you wouldn't want to change. We'll see. Okay. So in short, if you want to use your timer, only use them through the functions that drives the timer system. Alright, get current time, get initial time. So you need the name of the timer as well. Initial time. Okay, I did this one is done. Okay, I'll need pause timer, I need restart timer, and timer exists. You may have noticed also that I use what is called camel case formatting. I always start my variables, my objects, my function names by a lowercase, and separate each word by a capital uppercase at the first letter of the word. The good thing about this practice is that I can sometimes it may have happened to you. You are at the 200th event of your event sheet, and you set up a global variable on the top of your event sheet, and you don't really remember the name of the variable, but you remember what it does. And usually, now that I'm used to this syntax, I can guess back the name of the variable while typing. Of course, you can always use this part, the expression part in the system panel, to get back your the name of your variables. But sometimes when you use string for functions or for group names, you can't do that. There's no index, there's no list of names, so it's always useful to have such convention within your development. Pause, done. Timer exists and timer is running. Timer running. I'll do something because timer exists is done here. Restart timer is done here. I will, for the sake of I will reset dialogues for the sake of oh, I need to start it up, back up. Alright, I will save my right C2 channel timers. Alright, I will close and open it back because I have since I've got a dual screen. I got my windows all spread in the two screens, and now it should be all in one. Alright, so create timer. The thing we have to worry about now is how will we represent a timer? A timer, and that's the question you have to ask yourself each time you try to design a system, a mechanism. When you want to do to make a RPG, you want to think very hard on where you will put information, how you will sort it, how you will arrange the information, where will you save it. You have to think about that very early, because depending on how you set all this up, it will some of the development phase will become easy if you succeed, or very painful if you did a bad job at designing your data structure. I'm still thinking about to be or to buy. To buy, I think I will pronounce it like that. Let me see if I can find on the forum. If I can find this his post, it should be on my channel, on my the posts about my C2 channel. So he has the, and I will try to do something about it. I will try to do a vid on RPG. I still don't know exactly what I'll say about it, but it's interesting. There's not that much RPG made in C2, and because it's really RPG are really complicated. They are complicated because they use many systems. They have complicated UIs. They have movement in a entire world. They have often fighting systems, dialogue systems. That's whole software in itself. RPG is really hard to make and to design. But I'll try to tackle some of the problem you can encounter on RPGs, like inventories, saving and unloading game states. But I'm still thinking about it. I'm not. I'm writing some stuff down on I have a whiteboard. I'm writing some stuff sometime about how I would organize that. But I will probably one day start a vid out of nowhere and start doing some stuff on C2 and see how it goes. Anyway, how will we design our timer data structure? As I said, we will use the timer, the dictionary object, dictionary plugin. I rename it timer. Oh, my windows are all messed up. I'll prefer everything at the same side. And for the broadcast, it would be easier. All objects here with the project, and the layer here underneath the properties. Alright. And I will resize the windows so it fits well with the chat windows over here. Okay. So our data structure. What do we need to have in our structure to be able to make a timer? We want a counter, something that will, when the timer is running, that will go from one value to another. What I used to do with my timer system is to count down, but it's not necessarily an obligation. since we will abstract everything. I forgot a function which would be is undid. Yeah, is undid. We need something that will vary. We need the initial value, and we need to access all that by a name. You see here I forgot to rewrite the commentaries, but you need the name for every of these functions. Here you need just here you need the duration, and maybe I could add a function like reset timer with a new time, but it's like by using the create timer we'll be able to do the same thing. So we need a counter and initial value, and to be able to access that by its name. Fortunately, when you say in your mind, I want to associate values with a name, with something not a number, remember, not a number, you can use this thing. It's the dictionary will associate keys with value. Keys can be anything. Can be a number, 0, 1, 2, 3. Can be a name. Can be it can be a string, a complicated string, like for instance 10, 5. It's coordinates, for instance, and you can associate coordinates with a value. You can do pretty much anything you need with a dictionary. You can even fake array like I did in the last video, but even easier. But if you want to make an ordered list of something, you better use an array, because there's already an index. You can go through the index by number. It's made for that. Don't use a dictionary for an ordered list. It would be insane. Anyway, we'll create a timer, and we want these two values in our timer to be able to access them through our functions. How do we associate a name with two values? Dictionaries are only one-dimensional. Dictionaries are just a key, like I said, and a value. How do you associate a name with two values? Well, you don't. In a short answer, you can't, because you can only have this kind of association. But you know, a key can be anything. And what we will do is a key will create a timer. Our timer will be two key in the timer dictionary. It will be name, and it's a concatenation symbol. We'll see that in shortly. You probably know about it. Time, name, and initial time. We'll see how we'll name this part properly. Our keys will be something like that. This way we'll be able to access information about a timer by using its name and little tag let's call that a tag, a little extra tag to reach the time or the initial time. By doing that, you won't be able to access anything if you only use the name and access directly the dictionary with just the name. That's where the functions will be an interface between the dictionary and what you know, that's to say the name. Okay, let's implement all that so you'll understand my rambling. When you create a timer, you will get a name in the first parameter, so you get that. You don't have to use a local variable. I just feel it's clearer. So by default it's a 0, and you will set it to function dot param 0. I will quickly and swiftly rename that to f. Right, and now you will create your new timer by adding a key. Yeah, there's a difference between adding a key and setting a key. Set key will set the key only if the key exists. So you usually want to use add key. I don't know if there's a difference as far as performance goes by using this one or this one, but usually it's safer to use add keys because you will be sure the key will be stored. If the key doesn't exist, the key won't be stored, and the key and the value won't be stored. So here, anyway, if I create a timer, I assume the key doesn't exist. So I will create the key and I will name and something. For now, let's say we'll do that. And okay, we are missing the duration, which should be the second parameter of the function, and we'll set it here. The same way we'll set the initial value to the duration. Now, I don't like to use stuff like that. You have to type quotes, you have to be sure you type it correctly. You can forget a letter, you can mistype, you can hold the shift key and do a capital letter. It's a pain. So, as always, I will create a constant. Time, and it can be a number. I don't care. I will concatenate a number to the name. It will be name 0. So it will be, oh, it's already, you already have a time expression in construct which gives you the number of seconds starting from the start of your layout, your game, from the start of your game, I believe. So you can't use time, even if usually it's lowercase time. There's no case in constructor. So let's call that cure time. Alright, so I can do that, cure time, and I can even now just, if I'm not, don't like it, I can do count, and it will change automatically. If you want to change each string of your system, you're in a lot of trouble. Now I will call that init because I'm lazy today, and init. Alright, so the other thing about our system is if I set the count, which is the part which will change in our system, if I set it now, I'm assuming I will do a countdown. And since I already did a timer system based on countdown, I will do the opposite today. So I will set it to 0. 0 duration. Alright. Here we have our timer. It exists. It's working. But I want a third number I just thought about. I need a third number. A third value. I need a third value because there's something I want to use in these functions, and I can't use it with only these two information. The third information I need is the timer is running. Yet there's nothing in this value that tells you the timer named lambda is currently running or not. Well, should I be counting down on this timer or not? To show you what I mean, I will now build the countdown, the count system. Since for now we are counting up, the count up system. When you set up your timer, you want the time to be counted every time. Every time the timer is running. And something that is done every time is usually in construct done not in a function. I'm starting to think about a way to do that in a function. I have an idea. I don't know if it would be a good idea to do something, an always thing inside a function, but since I'm using a lot of function, I'm trying to think about that. Anyway, for now, we want to do our counting system. Alright, it's super simple. You'll do a for each key, and if the key, the end of the key is count, you change the value of the key. So you want to compare the key. You can't compare the key here. You can only compare the value, but you can compare stuff here, and you have access to the current key. If the last character of the current key is count, that is to say 0, it's a count type value, so you can count it down, you can count it up. For now, I will do something really simple. I will do a write 1 equal to count. The write function works like that. Write plop 1 means give me the right part of a string of length 1. So if you start from the right here and you count 1, you will get the last letter. So here you will get P. If it was 2, you will get OP. If it were 3, you would get LOP, 4, etc. I don't know what it will do with 10. I believe it will just send you back the whole string. Anyway, here you will get the last character of the key. So if the last character is count, so if the last character is 0, you will do something on the value on the corresponding value. So you will set key. The key already exists since it's in the timer, so you can use set and not add. And you can do set timer.currentKey to timer.currentValue plus dt. Here you have your counting system. There's two remarks on that thing. First, maybe you would want to do that. I don't really remember the policy on how the equal works. If it's a string, write output a string, count for now is a number. If I believe the equal works the same way, it will do what we call typecasting. If it's a string compared to a number, it will either cast the string to a number or the number to a string. I believe it's a number which casts to a string. So it will work automatically, but I don't want to rely on something a bit unknown. I don't know. So I cast it myself. Alright. The second thing is about dt. For those who doesn't know dt is no more, no less than the time in second between the current frame and the frame that just happened before. Frame -1 to current frame, you have delta time. dt means delta time. Delta in math language is often written like that and usually mean difference. Delta difference in time. So it's the difference between the previous frame and the current frame. And if you add each frame, this thing happen each frame, it will do that. And if you add the time between two frames each frame in 1 second, you will have added 1 second to your value. So it's add a little bit each frame to, in the end, have 1 second per second, 2 seconds per second, etc. Pretty convenient. In some language you have to calculate the dt yourself, and in construct you already have the value. So this is our timer. So each frame, if you have a frame per second of 60, each frame will happen every 1/60 seconds, which is, if I remember, something like 66666 seconds. So 16 milliseconds. Anyway, so you can, if you have a steady 60 FPS, you can assume, no, you can't assume, it's really it's not stable, but it's about this value, which is added each time to your current value. Alright, should work. Now I will add little text box. I'm really fond of text box because you can scroll them. You can't scroll the text object. Alright, and I will recreate what I do every time in a print function. There's plugins for console stuff, I know. I think I have one, but for now I prefer using default plugins. itself, that is because you can follow me. You don't have to go fetch a fancy plugin. You can watch my video and work with the same the default plugins, and you don't have to try to understand the plugin you don't know, etc. So I think it's better like that. New line. Alright. I will debug, and I will even rename my text box as console. Alright. So what do I want to do? I will, just for the sake of looking at how the system works, I will watch each of but for that, if I let me think, yeah, I will make another function which would be a clear function, set that to nothing. So I will every time do a clear and do print. I will print all the values in the timer. So, and will with the associated key, timer.current key, timer when you have to be careful when you are typing these crazy expressions. Okay, and I want to isolate this piece of code, timer system. Doesn't need to be global. That doesn't need to be global. Alright. Alright. There was a warning, but it's a blank warning. We still have our constant working here, so no problem. Okay. I will just, for the test, for more clarity, do that and add a start of layout where I will create a bunch of timers. So call the function create timer, plop timer with the starting value 20, starting, actually a starting, but a goal value, and smurf to. Alright, now I'm curious, long time no test. Oh, first thing first, set it to text area and read only yes. Alright. For each key, set timer, current value. Okay, should work. Clear and print. I made a clear so you don't have the console going crazy with adding stuff. Okay, it doesn't work. Why? Timer, current key, current value says 2. I think. Oh no. Create timer, duration. What I'm noticing is that one. It was creating it was overwriting the first timer with the second, and the key was totally blank, because it was the string the string I was getting here was transformed into a number which was 0, and 0 was concatenated with the 0, so no key. It should work now. Okay, so you see our timer is counting up, and since we didn't do anything, you see the keys as well. I will change something. I can't select read-only, yes, but I should be able to select now. Weird. Enabled. Weird. No. Oh yes, I can't select because it's updated every time. So it's messing up with the selection. If I didn't do that, it would have gone crazy with it's hard to follow like that, so I added the clear function. Alright, we keep that outside of the timer system, so you can call up the system. See, our test is here, testing, and here we are displaying display update console. Alright, so it's working. Now we don't want our timers to run like crazy until it's over their initial value. We want them to stop at the initial value, so we want to add dt until it reaches the initial value. So we need to get the initial value. I will create a variable so it's this expression doesn't become too crazy. Set value, initial value to it will be, for now I will leave it like that. We have to get the name back from this value. To get the name back, you will just have to strip the key from the count. You could do a replace, but it would be a bad move. If you have a name with a 0 in it, it would be replaced, so it's not a good idea. You just want to trim off the last character, and to do that I will do name text. You will take the timer.current key, and you will do kind of the opposite of what we did here. You want the left part, and with the length of your key minus the last character. So it's left of your key, the length, which is len, of the key itself, minus 1. If you do a little draw over, okay, you have a string or a key, and you want the left part, so the part which is this side, you want it to be the size of the string minus 1, so you will get this part, and this one will disappear. Alright, so it's this expression, and now that you have the name, you can have the initial value. Number, the initial value will be initial value timer dot get, and you reconstruct the key like that, name and init. You have the initial value, and you can limit this value with the function min. Initial value. Min, if you have min a b, it will return the lower of the two, the lowest of the two values, a or b. So it's if a is lower than b, you return a, else you return b. Simple. So here, if this value, initial value, is lower than this value, you get initial value, else you get this value. So it's the behavior you want. As long as this value is lower than this one, you will get this one, and when it gets passed, you will get this one. No problem. So if we rerun our it stopped at 2, and this one will run 20 seconds, and I don't want to wait. So it's working great, and now we will write the other function. Now that our system is working, the other function will be just super simple. Destroy timer, you will just delete the key. You will give it a name here, and you know you need 2 keys. So you will delete name and count. Okay, I forgot to do that. Delete name and count, and you want to delete name and int. There's another way to do it. Maybe could look more neat. You could do something like, for each key, and strip the last character and check it if it's the same as name. But you would need to run a loop through all your keys, and if you have tons of timer, it would become kind of performance intensive, and so not a good idea. The good thing about the loop technique is that if you want to add more information, more metadata to your timer system, it will take them into account automatically. You don't need that now. So don't clutter your system with something you might not need, or you aren't gonna need it. A pause timer. We'll see pause, rhythm, and is running a bit later. As I said, we will have to add another metadata on our system, so we'll wait. Is running. It's the same. Okay, I did the same thing twice. Is running and timer running is the same ID. Alright, gate current time. Super easy. You will get a name. You just have to return the timer that get. I forgot. Let's say. Is that no. Safer to just copy this one. It has a proper type. Just have to return name and count. This one, you just have to do exactly the same, but return name and init. Alright, this one. Hey, I copied them. Weird. Restart, resume. I think I made my system look far more complex than it is. Timer exists. Really simple, really simple. You have in the dictionary object a condition called ASCII, which have the same meaning for our system. If it has a key count, we could check count or init or anything. As long as it has name and count, it exists. We could do something like that to be more complete, but it's the same thing basically. And you will return something I like to do when I use booleans, is to create a global variable, a global constant named true, called ones, and false for 0. So you can read easily your system. By reading such constant instead of number, you instantly know you are talking about something that can have only two possible value, either true or false. And your program, because it's a program, your program timer exists, answer true or false. It reads like English. If you made a mistake here, like something like that, it's instantly read like ASCII, timer exists, ASCII false. What the heck? It's like that. It's obvious. That's why I like putting names in everything. Using functions give names to a chunk of code. Using constant gives names to a simple number which has no meaning. Here there's a number, but well, it's content in it's used in a way those who use constructs understand. You want the first param something here, but you know I could have used f.param 0 in here and it would look like crap. I prefer using variables which has a proper name instead of just this generic thing here. Okay. Enough rambling. So we have our destroy, get current, get initial, etc., etc. Let's test our destroy timer. Yeah, what we can do here is if create timer is ended, you destroy. If the timer smurf has ended, you destroy the timer plop. But we didn't create the has ended variable. It was maybe one of the word duplication I had and didn't rename. Has ended. Has ended. Task for a name. And you just have to okay, just have to compare two values. The timer that gets your counter, you will count your I forgot to do the same thing as before. Check. Right, so if your timer name and count equals your timer that gets name and init, and actually there's another condition which is equivalent to this one. It's just a matter of sometimes speaking between using system and object function. it's often a matter of picking. Here you always have one instance of timer, so you probably there are really equivalent, but you would probably do something like that: key name count equals timer, or maybe it will look slightly shorter, something like that. Name and count equals timer get name and init. It has ended, so you return call function, no, return true, else you return false. Okay, you have your has ended function, so you can do something like call function on function. No, you can't do that. You want the result of a function, so you want to compare the f.call has ended smurf is equal to true. You want to destroy destroy timer with the name of plop. Let's see, and I will do that over here. Alright, let's see if it works. 1, 2, up, destroyed. Doesn't appear anymore. Okay, so our destroy timer works, our as ended works, our we didn't test timer exist, we didn't test get initial time. We can totally test that. Here it's our testing, so creating timers, check for end on destruction and then destruction. It looks cool like that. And here you want to, if a timer, what did I want, has ended, if a timer exists, I can say function, since I will get a boolean, I have to compare it. f.call timer exists, the name of the timer, let's say plop, equal true. You want to print something else, like plop exists, it is alive. Okay, and you can do the same with the smurf. Yep. Smurf. It is smurf. Okay. Works, and works. Simple, isn't it? So you have a timer system, basic timer system here. We just want to add a little more. Something is running, pausing, and resume. It's the only thing we want to add. So, like I said earlier, you want to have something like a Boolean value in your timer system. So you have to add a third parameter. We will call that is running. By default, no, it's more of an index here, so it will add. This one adds 0 to the name of the key. This one adds 1, and this one will add 2. is running, and by default it's true. Alright, what do we want to do with this thing? First is to drive our counting system. So we want to separate these two parts to retrieve the name. So we can do something like, if the value at key name and is running is equal to true, true as well, name is running equals to true, you add stuff, else you do nothing. You do nothing. So here it's it should work well. I will separate visually. No, start to get a bit hard to testing here. I don't usually like to put on start of layouts inside a group because it kind of hides it, but for now it's slightly cleaner like that. So our testing, we are not done yet about pause and reason. Pause will simply just set that value to false. So okay, you can't do that yet, and I don't need that. I just need to set a key. Set key. Oh, it doesn't want to let me do that. Okay, well, timer, set key, name. I like to copy paste. Usually it's kind of faster. Running false. Here you pause, here you always the same thing. I'm just wondering if I could just put the value here on top, but I want it really to be local. It's cleaner, it's clearer, and it avoid any bad interaction. So by default it's nothing. Set names to true. Okay. And I had an is running. It's not is running. What did I do? It's resume. Resume is running will just basically return the value of the key. Timer that gets name and is running. Alright, since is running it is either true or false, and is meaning it has the same meaning as the function, returning the value itself will answer the question. So I think the system itself is more or less finished. We will use it, we'll test it now. Here we test for destruction, works well. We will create a third timer, we'll call it, what can we call it? Another character, funny character, Popeye. And by default, let's see, 3. And let's see, when Smurf has ended, we will pause Popeye. Okay. Pause timer Popeye. Let's see if it pauses. Here, Smurf, Popeye didn't pause. Plop equals 1. I think there's a problem. Yes, since I added basically a third key, I need to destroy it here. is running. Alright, so here we have our plop get destroyed, but Popeye doesn't stop working. I will make him make the Popeye timer a bit longer so we notice it a bit better. Still working here, so it doesn't really uses running equals true. For each key, call count name. Okay, if we are in a counting value, and if the corresponding key is running is to true, you will add something. So either this part doesn't work, or either this part post timer doesn't work. Set key name. Oh, look at that. Oh, I didn't copy paste the right thing. Oh, Bloody Mary. Holy moly. I could use French curse word like putain. Alright, should work. Yeah! Stopped at 2.003, which show you the kind of creeping you have with DT. It adds small little increments, and you rarely find yourself ended up in a whole number, unless you clamp it or you max min it, like I did here. So right, it looks like it's working. Alright, what could we could try the resume. Could do something like wait 1 second and resume timer. Why not? Resume. Alright. Stop. And go again. We could check if Popeye exists to see if somehow using pause and resume destroy something. It shouldn't. Popeye. I need some spinach. Spinach? It's like that. Spinach. Not sure. I have the word in French, but in English I'm not sure about it. Spinach, it's with a C. Yeah, spinach. Oh, I did. Okay. Okay, spinach is here. Okay, no problem, and goes back on. Alright. So resume works, pause run works, is running. I tested is running. No, I didn't test. I will increase the time it's not running, and if Popeye is running and I'm going to get some, and if it's not running I can't move. Okay, so it's working. I need some spinach and I'm going to get some. I can't move. 4 seconds later. Oh, doesn't work. It's obviously running since oh, that's so wrong. What happened here is that after 4 seconds, it's a bit complicated. This, once Smurf has ended, once this event is true, it will constantly shoot this action. Every tick will shoot this action. So the pause and resume timer, the pause, wait for a second, resume timer will be executed each frame. So after 4 seconds, the whole stack of weight you stacked during these 4 seconds will trigger, so it will pause and resume always. I was wondering, you might not have seen it, but it was a bit slower here. It was I was wondering what was going on here, and it was because of that. So I will just add a simple trigger once, and it should correct the behavior. Okay, can't move, and 4 seconds later, okay, move back, and it's the timer is evolving more regularly. It's so hard sometimes. Okay, so working. This one is working. This one is working. Is running. We just tested that with these two ones. I will save. Long time no save. Current time. Destroy timer. Create timer. Everything is working. What could we add to our system? We could add. Oh yeah. There's a smiley Barry here. Hey, Smiley Barry. I don't know since when you are here, because I have my software capture here, but it was hidden. I didn't see you. And here there's no. Just here there's no chat window. It's on the other screen. So I wonder if you're still listening to me. But here, I don't know. Oh, it's already 1 hour and 20 seconds running. Smiley Barry, if you have any question, you can ask them, because I think I'm finished here. I thought I was going to show you some stuff with... no, I was just going to show you how to do custom timers. Maybe I will show you some case where I use them, but I think it will be for another video, because it's kind of 1 hour 20 minutes I'm talking, and last time I did 2 hours and 30 minutes video. It was slightly too long, I think. I'm still wondering if I should split the vids into a 15 minutes video, like YouTube sometimes asks me, or if I should just post them I'm wondering if it doesn't answer, so maybe just left me, since I ignored him. I don't really know who he is. Okay, I will just stay here like 1 or 2 minutes more, and if it doesn't answer, I will just shut the video. So wait, it's the timer system. I will just tell you how I used it, and maybe how I will make a video. And I used it to to time some sound, basically. I had a project which had to run on iPad and stuff like that, and some touch device and some browser doesn't like the on-ended sound, and the preload. I think the preload action doesn't like it, and or maybe it was the system the guy I was working with was using. But anyway, the on-ended doesn't is ignored by the audio plugin when it's running on touch device, so you can't use it. And I think the only ways to really do a sequence of audio sound is to know the time of the sound and use my timer system to create a timer when you play the sound, and then use the has ended function to know when the sound is finished. So you can I didn't test the get initial time and get current time. I will test them here. Should work. So they are basically mirroring the behavior of the. They are getting the values directly, so they should really work. But just in case, maybe we want to. We have a timer running of 20 seconds, and we will check if the timer equals 5. So on function, I don't remember, but I think it's get current time. Like I said, it's since I know how I write my my names, it's the same. Okay, I pretty much know remember them by just having the same mindset. Get current time, so I'm not using correctly. So I'm talking, so I'm not thinking. It's F. You want the return values, so you want to use them like that. And if it's equal 5, you will probably not fall on 5 on the number itself. So you want to do something like return or equal 5 and trigger once. Once you get that, so it's past 5, you will pause Popeye. I forgot to tell the name of the timer here. Once the timer plop gets past 5, you pause Popeye, and once it gets past, I don't know, 12, you will resume our Popeye timer. Resume, and we'll delete these ones. Let's see, where is the right? Popeye has ended. What happened? Ah, yeah, I destroyed the timer, so it's working as expected. But since I destroyed the timer, it's not really working. I will destroy the Smurf timer, so should work. Okay, Smurf 2. Smurf is destroyed. Plop reach 5. Popeye stopped. Can't move. 10, 11, 12. Continue. Yeah, working great. And let's see. There's the one last thing. Yeah. What you can do by having access to the initial time is percentage, and it's really handy to have them to do stuff like, let's make a little sprite. Okay, you want to move this sprite from, let's sort that out. We tested test get current time and pause timer, resume timer. Okay, it's the console, so it's display all timers, and here we have test timer exists and is running. Okay, now we want to look at one super easy ways to use timers to move objects. You can do something like set position. We'll just move along the X to lerp between 100 pixels and 500 pixels, and we want to move from using the Popeye timer. So we will use something like, I don't want to, for now I will do that. I will just create a local variables here. I will call t, or rather percentage, so it's more, it tells more how it works. And I will calculate here, so it doesn't make a big expression here. It will be f call get current time Popeye over f dot call get initial time Popeye. Okay, and here you should get a percentage which will go from 0 when you start the timer to 1 when the timer is equal to the initial time. So then you can use this percentage to drive the value of this function. This function goes, if percent is equal to 0, it will give you 100. If it's equal to 1, it gives you 500, and it's a linear evolution between 100 and 500. And if you have 0.5, it will give you 300. The middle value between 100 and 500 is 300. Alright, percentage, and should work like that, just like that. Doesn't work. Why? It's here. I say X. Lerp. What's going on? Initial time. Popeye. Initial time equals 0 because Popeye is not written well. You don't want to divide by 0. It's a bad idea. You can do something like, to ensure it doesn't divide by 0, you can check here if the result of this value is greater than 0. Okay. Popeye will stop. It can't move during 5 seconds, no more, during until 12, and now it resumes its course. And if you want to get fancy, you can do something like that, and you will get some I don't remember, yeah, an is in or out, I don't remember the, I think is in, I think it's an easing. It starts fast, it ends slow. Okay. And if you want the opposite, you put something greater than 1, and it would start slow and go fast. It will stop at 5 here, because that's what we did, and resume. If you don't do this pause resume thing, and you do a Popeye timer slightly faster, it will go super faster. 5 seconds to go from 100 to 500. Up, done. Faster. I want to do that in 1 second. Chook. Working well. So, alright. Smollyberry didn't answer. I hope my my mic is working. Anyway, I think I'm done with this timer system. I might go back to it in another video to show you a little bit about sounds. Other than that, I think everything is okay. I noticed I have my mailbox has been spammed by your subscription. It's really cool. Feel free to subscribe and tell everybody who likes to learn more about C2. Tell them to subscribe. I hope the more the subscriber, the more I am motivated to make vids. Don't hesitate to write any comments on the YouTube, Twitch, or the C2 forum or ask for any topic. If I find the topic you are proposing interesting and not too there's some topic like platformers that are treated in tons of tutorial. I might do some video on platformers, but it would be probably something really specific. So for now, it's just some random thing I'm thinking about, and when I feel like it, I do a vid. Alright, enough rambling. Yeah. I hope you like the demonstration.